Dreaming of quitting your job to pursue your dreams? Watch this video first. Today we're talking about the realities and challenges of entrepreneurship that hardly anyone is talking about. Many people lately are dreaming of quitting their jobs and starting a business or a side hustle. The internet is filled with stories of overnight success and ultimate freedom, making it seem like the only fulfilling or rewarding path in life is being your own boss. But I'm here to tell you it's not always as it seems. This video isn't here to scare you and definitely isn't to stomp on your dreams. In fact, it's the exact opposite. I believe your goals, your dreams, and aspirations are life-giving, sacred, and that they absolutely matter. In fact, I believe that the world would be a much better place if all of us listened to that little voice inside of us telling us to go create something and to dream bigger. So my intention in this video is to give your dreams and goals the best fighting chance of actually coming to life and thriving. The more your eyes are open to the reality of the situation and the choices in front of you, the better decisions you're going to be able to make. Because here's the reality, whether you stay in your job or start your own venture, both are what I like to call shit sandwiches. They both come with their own set of challenges, risks, and hard truths. And you're going to have to face yourself in a big way in either one of those paths. So the goal isn't to escape all discomfort, but instead to choose the sandwich that you're willing to eat and to make it as palatable as possible. Now, this doesn't mean that there is nothing but bad things either way. I'm just trying to make the point that neither having a job or having your own business are perfect paths without any pain and any things that you don't want to do in it. For most of my career, I've either owned my own businesses or I've been hired to mentor and coach other entrepreneurs to grow theirs. I've had a lot of experience of building a business from just an idea into reality and have worked with a wide variety of business models and the side hustle concept. Many people jump into a side hustle just wanting to make a few extra bucks without adopting a business owner mindset. This can be incredibly risky. What starts as a little moneymaker can quickly become the bane of your existence, draining your time, energy, and even creating really significant strains on your relationships and family life. Ask me how I know. You'll hear countless stories, and I've seen far too many, of people whose side gig became a source of misery because they didn't treat it as a real business from the start. So let's talk a little bit about why that happens and what we can do to avoid it. First of all, there's the freedom myth. Too many people are glorifying the value of starting their own business, believing that it's the ultimate freedom. They think ditching their 9-to-5 means endless flexibility, no more bosses, and a life of leisure. But I'm pulling back the curtain to tell you that all too often this is really just an illusion. Based on current data, around 20% of businesses fail within their first year, 50% fail within 5 years, and around 65% fail within 10 years. It also takes about 2 to 3 years for a new business to become even profitable. There's also the aspect of going from one boss when you're in a job to many bosses when you're your own boss. If you're sick of having a boss, just wait until your clients and customers become your new boss. In your own business, you're not just accountable to one person, yourself. You're accountable to everyone who pays you, and sometimes their demands can be far more relentless than any corporate manager. Also, leaving work at work and having predictable income can be really hard to create with your own business, where you might experience more of a feast or famine type of circumstance, where things go really, really good one month and then it's quiet and crickets and no business growth in the next month. Businesses who have been around a long time know that these ebbs and flows can happen, and so they're very strategic about how to ride through the low times and balance out the high times so that they can remain stable and in business long term. But for the average person just starting their own little side hustle or business, these highs and lows can be terrifying and soul-crushing. When you run or own your own business, every spare minute can feel like you should be working on your business, especially when it's not financially flowing like you're wanting it to. So it can be even harder to experience life balance with your own business. To do it, you have to be incredibly disciplined. For example, I mentored an entrepreneur years ago who was making around $250,000 a month, and was begging me to please help her to grow her business so that it was making $500,000 a month so that she could finally have better life balance, spend more time with her kids, and take better care of her health. I promised you that just making more money won't actually solve your problems. It can help, but you have to be strategic and intentional about how to work within your business and how you want your business to support you. Another crucial point is that not all business models provide freedom. Some can even chain you more to your desk more than a traditional job. When you think of a business, you have to think of it long term, even a side hustle. Are you willing to do this forever or for the next 5 to 10 years? And unless you can afford for someone else to take on the grunt work or the parts of your business that you don't enjoy doing, you'll need to keep doing those things too. This can make it really hard in your own business to prioritize and make time for the parts of your business that you really enjoy. There's also an illusion of scalability. Many business gurus preach scalability, but they often don't emphasize the massive initial investment of time, money, and personal sacrifice required before you can truly scale and grow your business. And honestly, many small businesses never reach the point where they can actually step back away from those day-to-day operations to enjoy the fruits of scaling. There's also the aspect I mentioned before about treating a side hustle as a real business. Whether you're aiming for a full-fledged empire or you just want an extra $500 a month, if money is exchanging hands regularly, you are essentially starting a business. I hate to break it to you. But don't let that scare you. This is actually a really empowering mindset. Adopting that mindset from day one, even for your little moneymaker, can help you set it up smarter. It means thinking about your time investment, your pricing, your systems, and overall sustainability. Without this mindset, that little side hustle can escalate from a fun little diversion into a significant time, energy, and financial drain that affects your life, your relationships, and your overall well-being. This is why I'll stress doing the math later on. Here's yet another hard truth, and I promise if you can make it through all the hard truths and still find a way to make your dream come to life, you're on the right track. Don't let any of this stop you. Just let it be information so that you can make better decisions and set your dream and goal up for success. The reality is that businesses can make a lot of money in revenue, but they can also cost a lot of money to run. People often confuse high revenue with high profit. I once saw a business coach who exemplifies this experience perfectly. I went to this fancy event where the business coach organizing the event was bragging about making over $140,000 for her coaching business in that weekend. However, what many people didn't see is she had spent at least $40,000 on just online advertising to fill the event alone. A few of us also knew that she was in a private coaching program herself where her own coach was costing her $10,000 a month minimum just to work with them. When the math was all said and done, she had sold out her entire coaching program for the year, but was actually deep in debt from the event expenses, now faced the immense pressure of somehow delivering on all that coaching while also trying to live on a much smaller amount than I imagined she had planned. High revenue, or your business making a lot of money, does not mean high profit or high freedom. It's all about the net profit and your cash flow. And all of this is figure outable, because one of the best things about businesses is that businesses and side hustles are really just math. It's math for whether or not it makes financial sense. Ultimately, your business needs to make more money than it costs to run it. But it's also the math for your time and energy investment being paid well. Remembering that it can take around 2 years for a new business to become profitable, and that tragically most businesses don't make it past that point, I believe this is a big part of why. Lots of people just truly haven't spent enough time doing the math and valuing their own time and energy investment into bringing that business or side hustle to life. I once met a mom who was really excited about making hand-crocheted baby blankets and and selling them on Etsy. Each of these blankets took her around 10 hours to make, plus the cost of supplies. She was excited about selling them at local boutiques for around $50 and had only been factoring in the cost of her supplies in her math about if this business would work or not. She was so excited because she figured she could get the supplies for the blankets for around $10 to $20 and then thought she could be making $20 to $30 profit for each of the blankets. She hadn't yet figured out that Etsy has fees, credit cards have fees, and if she wanted to go sell them at local boutiques, she would have to pay for her boutique stand and any advertising or anything else that she might want to do to help spread the word about these beautiful blankets. When all is said and done, even if we only factored her supplies and not all the other costs, and you say that she's making around $20 for each of the blankets in profit, optimistically, if it takes her 10 hours to make each of those blankets, that means she's only making about $2 an hour for each of the hours she's investing into those blankets. That's far lower than the minimum wage. And if this starts taking time away from other endeavors that are really important to you that you want to be involved in, like if these blankets become in really high demand and you get orders to make 1,000 of these, it's going to really be painful for your relationships in your life and your health. And it will be harder and harder to justify continuing to spend that much time on these blankets at such little of a profit. A lot of new business owners also have the idea that if they start off at a really cheap price point, they can raise that price as time goes on. And while sometimes that is true, it isn't always the case that that's possible. Some things just cost around a certain amount of money. This is the fair market value of a product. If you have dairy cows and you're selling your milk from those cows and you want to sell a gallon of milk for $30, you're going to have a really tough time selling it, even if you're marketing to everyone about how amazing your gallons of milk are compared to the kind that they could get at the grocery store for around $2 to $5 a gallon. So we have to understand what that value is that people are willing to pay and about how much profit you can actually make from whatever you're trying to sell. And you have to figure your own time and energy investment into that. I always recommend trying to set what your ideal hourly wage would be to work on your business and see if you can get the math to work out to pay you that or ideally even above that. Now, it probably won't do that initially, but you want that to be happening as quickly as possible so that your business can at least be covering its expenses and covering a lot of your time and energy investment into it. People often minimize the value of their own time, only looking at the financial investment involved in bringing a business idea or side hustle to life. However, it's often the time and energy investment that will make your business sustainable or not. If you're working 80 hours a week for pennies on the hour, that's not freedom, that's a trap. So let's talk a little bit about what you're giving up and what you might gain. There can be a lot of comfort in having some sort of corporate job, especially while you're trying to build something else on the side. When I first went back to my corporate job after shutting down my agency, it felt amazing. It honestly felt so good that it felt like a scam by comparison. I kept laughing about how incredible it was to be able to leave work at work, to have nights, weekends, and holidays off, and still get paid. It was also so exciting to only have to do my job rather than all or most of the jobs of my own small business. In today's world, the 9-to-5 often gets demonized, but it can offer immense stability, predictable income, benefits, and defined working hours. These are luxuries that many small business owners crave and often don't have, especially in the early years. Also, there are some golden handcuffs to fame and fortune that aren't talked about often enough. It doesn't matter how famous you get, a bad business setup or a terrible deal can make your life miserable and really difficult. Look at Britney Spears' conservatorship struggle, or how the Backstreet Boys and NSYNC barely made any of the millions of of dollars that they were bringing in, despite their massive fame, all because of exploitative contracts. Just because there's a crowd or a lot of money coming in, that never means you'll be truly successful or have the freedom that you desire. The same applies to the dream of becoming an influencer and getting a huge social media following. Just because you have followers, that doesn't automatically translate to freedom or sustainable income. It's all about math and planning. That's what creates the freedom you want. Otherwise, you're just creating another cage for yourself, one that might look nicer than your current one, but is still a cage nonetheless. Now, anytime I have a new business idea or venture that I'm considering, there's specific questions and things that I'm looking into to gauge whether it's a viable business option and what it might require of me to get it up and running and profitable as quickly as possible. First of all, you need to figure out your break-even point. How much do you need to sell to just even cover your costs, including ideally your time investment? But if you can't do that initially, at least your operating costs. Next, figure out your replace your income point. How much do you need to sell to match your current salary? Then figure out your ideal profitability point. How much do you need to sell to create the financial freedom that you desire and the lifestyle you're hoping for? This helps you get more of that full cost picture in mind and down on paper so that you can be making really good decisions. How much money does the business need to be making? Or how much do you need to be selling? And how much will it cost to produce or sell that much? Look at both the amount of hours and the financial investment. Also recognize that if you don't yet have skills in marketing, especially in the digital space, you're going to have to invest in learning how to do some of those things, which can add additional costs to your business as well. It's all doable and you can figure it out in theory, but you have to gauge whether or not that investment is worth it. Also, there's a lot of talk about turning your passion into your business. And if you're trying to do that, recognize that any sort of financial pressure on your passion can kill the joy and rob that passion out of absolutely anything. What was once a source of pleasure can quickly become a very stressful chore once you have to pay the bills. When thinking about when to quit your job or if to quit your job, a really helpful analogy that I love is how the ideal situation is to move from one moving car, your existing income stream, to another moving car, your new income stream. Ideally, they're both even moving at similar paces, meaning that your new income stream is alive and growing, and that it's because of that growth that then you have to make the decision about quitting your job or decreasing your hours. It's never wise to move from a moving car, your existing income stream, to a parked car, your new business idea that you think by investing all of your time and energy into by quitting your job is going to help it somehow make it grow faster. Businesses and hobbies that often turn into businesses often require a lot more money to get going than we anticipate. It can be a lot easier to figure things out along the way while you already have an existing income stream like your job to give you a little bit of stability and freedom to invest in what you're trying to create. Also, we can't forget the legal and financial complexities that come with small businesses and side hustles. For example, you're going to be looking at more complex tax filing most likely, where you may need to work with an accountant to help you with your taxes for your small business, which can be more expensive than doing your taxes on your own. There's also significant liability towards your personal assets, like your home, or towards your family if you haven't set up your business properly and a client or customer sues you. This is a high risk to you and even your loved one's livelihood. So setting up an LLC for your business or another legal structure can be crucial, but it's often not very fun to do, and so a lot of business owners don't prioritize those pesky details that are so important. Also, you might need to or be tempted to take on loans or debt for your business, which can also come with personal risk if the business doesn't succeed. So the crucial question to ask to help you keep going and get through all of these roadblocks is to really understand and know why you want to grow this business. What are you thinking that it will give you? How are you hoping that it will impact your life? and then work out the math and a strategic business plan towards your ideal future state, and take the time to really understand what it will take to get there. If you're not exactly sure of where to start and you're wondering what to do, you can reach out to someone you trust to help you with some of these details and thinking through everything. Now, you don't have to have a big technical business plan in order to make it work, but even just documenting a lot of these aspects down on paper or pulling them into a spreadsheet can make you so much more set up for success in really growing your business and bringing your dream to life. Now, it is worth saying that sometimes you don't actually need your own business in order to get what you want from the dream of having it. For example, maybe you want to start your own business as an artist and make a lot of money so that you can spend more time doing art. Or you might want more people to take you seriously as an artist, or you just overall want a slower lifestyle. Doing the math on how much art you would need to make or produce and how much you would need to sell can help you determine if a business for your art is really what you want and what's going to help you meet those needs. You might instead determine that your current job aligns much more with your vision because it will take the pressure off your art needing to sell every month for you to pay your bills. You might also see that not having a business helps free up more of your time to do the art that you want, because instead of needing to focus on art that would sell, you can focus on creating whatever you want to make, regardless of if anyone would ever want to buy it. You might also see that you need to just advocate more for yourself with your loved ones so that they can give you more time freedom to be able to focus more and more on your art. Or you just maybe need to adjust your schedule a little bit so that you can do more art alongside your full-time job. Then even you can lean in more on holidays and weekends, finding yourself leaning into creating more art purely for the joy of it. So before you jump ship from your day job or invest all your life savings into that side hustle, remember, do the math and understand the true costs, both financial and personal, and be brutally honest about your why you want to start this business in the first place. Your dream is too important to leave to chance and naive optimism. This isn't about crushing dreams. It's about building them on a solid, sustainable foundation so they can truly thrive and give you the freedom that you truly seek. Now, I'd love to hear your thoughts and questions in the comments below, so please share any of your experiences or anything you'd like further clarification on so that we can be sure to set up your dream for success. I'm also curious to know if you've done the math on your dream yet, and if you're using that to help guide you. If you found this helpful, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more practical insights and inspiration on how to create a life filled with creativity and fulfilling, meaningful work that you love. Remember, your dreams deserve a smart strategy. So until next time, keep dreaming and keep planning.